Hi Spice Fam, welcome back to another Christmas video. Today I will be showing you how I make beef Wellington, which is a side dish you can add to your Christmas lunch or dinner. If you're interested, keep watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, put on your post notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Let's get into this video. Spice Fam, for the puff pastry, and I'm showing you a different way of doing it, you would need some extremely cold butter or fats, because I have butter and lard. Here I have some very cold water or ice cold water. My flour is as cold as well, and I also have some salt. So as I would have mentioned in the previous video where I did the quiche, and I will link the video in the description box below if you haven't seen it yet, you want all of your ingredients to be extremely cold. So let's start. So I am going to take the salt and place it into my ice cold water and mix it until it has dissolved. That basically would help with the flavoring of the pastry dough. So once I am done with that, I'm just going to set that aside, and then I'm going to move on to adding my fats to the flour. Today I will be doing the grated version of basically putting our fat into the flour. So I am grating today, which will give us a smaller amount of fat to work with, and which is not as tedious as having the bigger pieces I would have done in my quiche recipe. So it's very simpler and easier to handle when you have it grated. So I am just simply working as fast as I can just to ensure that my fats don't start melting, because you know, with our climate it's extremely hot these days, so you want to make sure that you work with your fats as quickly as you can. So I am doing that, and I will continue and come back to show you the next step. So for this recipe, puff pastry recipe is very simple and easy to make. What you can do is do it in advance, so that when you're ready to use it, all you need to do is to remove it from the freezer. So here I'm just taking my fingertips and basically mixing in the flour with the fat, and you want to work quickly, but also you don't want to damage the fats. And also another tip is to make sure that your hands are extremely cold, so that way the heat from your hand don't start melting the fat. So once I have coated the fat with the flour, as you're seeing here, we are going to start adding in our water a little at a time, and make sure that it comes together. You want to knead it, but you just want to make sure that it comes together. Now I must warn you that this is a very tedious task. It takes a lot of time, so you want to make sure that when you do the puff pastry from scratch, although it's very easy to make, it does take some work in terms of muscles and so forth. So you want to make sure that you have some time on hand to prepare it, because it does need some attention. So as I said, I just went in with my water, my very cold water, and I'm doing it a little at a time, as you would have seen here. And then we're going to just mix it until it comes together. Once it comes together, we are now going to place some flour onto our countertop, and then we are going to put the dough onto the floor countertop and form it into a ball. Now if you find it's a little bit on the dry side, just add a little bit of more cold water. Don't add too much. You don't want it to be too sticky, but at the same time you don't want it to be dry. So we're going to form that into a dough ball. Once the dough has been formed into a ball, we're going to place it onto a plastic wrap and wrap it really well, or tightly enough, so that no air or water can enter. And we're going to place it into our freezer and allow it, refrigerator that is, sorry, and allow it to rest for about 15 minutes. Once the 15 minutes is over, you're going to remove it from the fridge and place it onto a floor countertop and start rolling. Now the reason why we did that was to help the gluten in the dough to basically develop. So once you place it there, you're going to make it into a rectangular shape so that we can do the folds to get that nice pockets, or that delicious flavor flakes, I should say, in your pastry. So here I am just forming it into a rectangular form, and I am, or shape I should say, and then I am going to place some flour onto the dough itself, just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the rolling pin. I also did add some flour onto the rolling pin, and we are going to roll it until it's into a rectangular shape. So if when you are rolling out your dough you realize that it's cracking, that's quite fine. You just simply just push it back together, I should say, push it back together, and that basically solves the problem. So I'm going to roll that out. As you can see here, I'm going up and down and then flipping it to the other side, and then also here I'm doing my first fold, and that fold, as I said, will give you all that nice flakes that you'd find within your pastry dough or within your pastry when you're eating it. So I will continue to do that. I think I gave it about 3 or 4 fold, and I will come back to show you what it looks like. So once the dough has been formed, or I should say once you would have rolled it out really well and fold it a few times, next what we are going to do is to do the last folding. And as you can see here, I'm just making sure that it is sort of a uniform in terms of the shape. It's not perfect, so I'm giving it the last fold. And next what I'm going to do, I'm going to place it into a plastic wrap. Now this pastry puff, you can use it immediately, or you can place it into your refrigerator, not your refrigerator, your fridge, until you are ready to use it. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to place it into a plastic wrap, and again you want to make sure that it's tightly wrapped so that no moisture gets in or no water gets in there to disturb your pastry. And I am going to put that into my freezer until I am ready to use it. Spice fam, for our beef Wellington, which is the meat part of it, we have here some lean ground beef, a mixture of dry basil and parsley, some corn flour, also breadcrumb can be used, either one, whichever one you have on hand can be used. I have here some green seasoning, and if you have not seen how I would have made that, I will link the video in the description box so you can have a look at how I make green seasoning. Here I have some cheese, salt, onion, garlic. I have here 1 egg, and also our dough for the dough part of our beef Wellington. Now this is a very easy and cheap version of the beef Wellington, which is much more expensive, and I think that the meat that they use is some sort of a steak, which is very expensive. So without further ado, let's get into this video. To my bowl, I'm going to start off by adding in my grounded lean beef, minced beef that is. I'm going to go in with my dry basil and parsley seasoning, garlic, onion, salt, and of course you add salt based on your salt intake, but you want to make sure that your beef is seasoned really well to get all that nice flavor coming through. The green seasoning, and I'm going to be very generous with my green seasoning, corn flour, and as I said before, breadcrumb can be used as well, either one is fine, cheese, and next we're going in with the egg. Spice fam, now that the ingredients have been all added together, we are going to mix this until it forms into a nice ball, and I'm going to use my hands. A glove can be used as well for this process. So I'm going to start off by just simply massaging everything together like so until it comes into a ball. You want to make sure that everything, all the seasoning, are combined together into your beef. So I will continue to mix, and I will come back to show you when it's finished. Spice fam, this is what our beef is looking like so far. So you want it to form into a bowl, sorry, a dough. And what you're going to do next, we are going to place it into a plastic wrap and place it into our freezer for about 1 hour. So I will show you that. So here is our plastic wrap, and now I'm just going to take the meat, the dough, and what we're going to do, we're going to form it into a log. So I'm just going to put it in the middle situation, and we're just going to form it into a log like so. And I am going to wrap it up, and we are going to place it into the freezer, as I said before, for about 1 hour, just so that it can set. All right, and you want to make sure that you wrap it really well so that no water or no moisture gets in there. So I will do that and come back to show you. Spice fam, this is what our beef log or minced beef log is looking like. So next I'm going to place it into the freezer, as I would have said before, for about 1 hour. See you then. Spice fam, it has been about an hour, and this is what our beef is looking like. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it back into the freezer until I'm ready for it, and then I'm going to move on to rolling out our puff pastry, which I would have shown you previously. So let's go. Spice fam, this is our puff pastry, and I did take it out from my freezer, allow it to sit on the countertop for about a couple of hours or so. You want to keep an eye on that because you don't want it to get too soft, but you want it to get soft enough to be pliable to roll out and so forth. So next, what I'm going to do, I have here some flour. I'm going to put some onto my countertop, just like that. And then I'm just going to remove the plastic wrap on the dough. Okay, so now that I have removed the plastic wrap from the dough, I'm just going to sprinkle some flour on it as well, and also onto my rolling pin, so it's easier for me to work with. So just go a little bit more, and I'm just going to do it like so. I'm going to roll that out. Just add a little bit more of the flour just to make sure that it does not stick to the rolling pin. And what you want to do, you want to also make sure, flip it to the side and then roll it like that. You want to get a even rectangular shape. This might be about 12 inches or so long. I'm going to do that again. Get it as evenly shaped as you can. Remember, if it starts to stick, you just add a little bit more flour. So I'm going to continue doing this until it's into the shape I want it, and I'll come back to show you. Okay, Spice fam, so this is what our pastry or puff pastry dough is looking like. You don't want it to be too thin or too thick. All right, so you want to keep an eye on that. So next, what we're going to do, we are going to place our meatloaf, that's what I call it at the moment, onto our dough. But before we do that, we are going to place this paste all over the meat, and I will show you what I am going to be doing. Now, what I did not cut this into half or anything. I'm going to first place the beef onto it, then wrap it before cutting it. All right, so just letting you know. So as you can see here, I'm just going to take the paste, and this is for extra flavor, and I'm just going to rub it all over the beef, just like that. And as I said, the reason why we freeze the beef before placing it onto the dough is so that it keeps its shape when we put that into the oven or even onto the dough. Okay, so this is just about finished. Next, we are going to place that onto the dough. okay. You want to be very careful with that because you don't want it to break or anything. So I'm just going to do it like so. Oops, it's a messy thingy. And I'm just going to go right here. So you want to put it as close as possible to the center. Then I would wrap and cut off the excess, and I'll show you that. Just like so. And then we're going to do the same. Don't worry, my hands are still wet. Same for this side, like so. And then what I'm going to do, I am going to cut off the excess. Spice Fam, now that we have sealed the dough, the edges and so forth, we are now going to cut off the excess. So I just going to do it a little way up, a little way from the end of the beef so that you have enough space to fold in. So I'm just using my bench scraper and I'm going to set that aside and just do this one. Don't need much, or should I leave that alone? This here. Right. So I'm just going to tuck it in. I'm just going to also wet the tips of my hands and just kind of do a little shape like so. Tuck it in, tuck it in. Make sure that it's sealed. Don't want anything to escape at all. Everything must stay inside. So next, what we're going to do, we're going to place it same side down onto a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and we're going to allow it to chill for about 15 to 20 minutes because you want to make sure that your pastry is very cold when you bake them. So I will do that and come back to show you. Spice Fam, after 20 minutes I did remove it from the freezer, and I'm just going to take the back end of a knife and just make some markings just for style. You know, you just want to do, you can do it slanted like this, just a slight indent, or you can do it straight. So I'm just going to go with the slanted version of this, and then we are also going to do an egg wash. Just going to do one here as well, and here. Great. So here I have my egg wash, and I did add a little bit of turmeric. That's a trick, guys, to get that nice lovely golden color. So I'm just going to paste it all over gently because you don't want to spill. You see that color already? I think I spilled some. So I will continue to do this and come back to show you. So next we're going to place it into a preheated oven of 375 degrees, and I will put the correct amount of minutes as to when or how long it baked for. Alright, so we will do that now. Hi Spice Fam, so this is the result of our baked minced beef Wellington or beef Wellington. And do you see the nice golden color? That is from the turmeric that I added to the egg wash. So I just took it out from the oven. I'm going to allow it to come to room temperature before we cut into it, and I will show you the finished product when it's done. So be sure to stick around to see what it looks like when I cut through. This is the end of our beef Wellington, or the final plating I should say. I really do hope that you did enjoy today's video. This beef Wellington is perfect for your Christmas lunch or dinner. I really do hope that you did enjoy today's video. Thank you always for watching. Also looking forward to your comments. See you in the next video. Bye bye.